All right, welcome everybody to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking to CEO Simon Glass of Discuss.io, a leading enterprise level smart video platform. This year, the company surpassed 50,000 hosted conversations, generating insights from over 250,000 people. Simon, thank you for being on the show. I can't think of a more relevant discussion than video platforms right now and communicating the way we have to communicate right now in the year of COVID, probably next year, 2021, and leading into 2022, and really in the world of now kind of mixed remote and mixed being at the office as we move forward. And so as the CEO of a company that focuses in video, my first question is this, because I get this all the time from people I coach and people that I talk to. How do we now, and how do we moving forward, create more of an emotional connection when we're talking via video, when we can't shake hands, give each other a high five? I mean, it's like, how is that going to evolve?
Yeah, no, excellent question, John. Nice to be with you.
Yeah,
Very nice to be on the podcast, and obviously the world's changed tremendously over the last number of months. And as we come into 2020, video was really considered what I would call a nice to have, but now it's a must have. So,
well, in March, up until March 15th, if you ask somebody to Zoom, most people were hesitant. Yeah. Most people didn't want to. Most people don't use FaceTime. The younger generations do, but it was kind of like uncomfortable for people.
It was entirely uncomfortable. It was even uncomfortable for me, if I'm perfectly honest, up until about a year and a half or almost 2 years ago, whenever I joined the team here at Discuss.io.
Yeah.
And the way I think about it and the way I think about your question is, myself in running this company and other people who are running video companies have to bridge that gap that you were describing in terms of it needs to become more comfortable, but we need to find ways to make the emotional connection. Because at the end of the day, we're on two screens and we're like many miles apart here, I assume. But I think it behooves folks who work in video platforms to figure that out. And the way I think about it, it ultimately comes down to value. And are you getting value from the video meeting? Because there's a lot of what I would call generic video platforms out there. And they're good to have the friend and family conversation, and they're good to have what I would call the unstructured business conversations. But if we're truly going to have the video room be the meeting room of the future, we're going to have more features and help customers get more value from those meetings, and get the return on investment. Quite frankly.
Right. And what does that look like? You have breakout rooms with many of these platforms, but I would have to think, as you're talking, that virtual reality, artificial intelligence is going to have something to do with it. I remember, I've done virtual reality before, and it's wild. I mean, and so will those play a role? Like, what are some of your thoughts as far as the features, the benefits, and the evolution of video?
No, I totally think what you're saying will play a role, but I think we actually need to start with the basics, and we can't go straight to like really high end thoughts like what you're describing and bringing that in. Now, I think we will get there, but we need to start in a more basic level by just bringing the right structure to video meetings and bringing the right setup. And starting to implement features that will help you, our customers, other customers, actually pull those nuggets or pull those insights from the video meetings. So I think there's a bunch of, call it, features and functionality that can be layered on to our platform, existing video platforms, that start the journey to get us there. Now, obviously, you and I are talking today, and you could have tracking on me, and you could be tracking my eyes and my emotional engagement, etc. That all is super important, and I think that will come. But I think we need to take a little bit more of a crawl, walk, run approach before we get to those bigger ideas. And clearly, there's the sentiment of what I'm saying and tracking and understanding that sentiment. So I think it's just a massive, massive potential here to do so much with video meetings and truly make them the room of the future, the meeting room of the future, which is, I think that's where we're headed, John.
Well, one of the things COVID did, it showed how productive, how trustworthy people could be, how profitable companies could still be. And it really took down a lot of the boundaries that I don't need somebody in my office to do something that's very productive. So moving on, I want to talk more about some meetings because I get this question asked to me a lot. How long what's the effective time limit of a video meeting? Right, because I think just meetings in general, one of the things I see is they don't have agendas, which they need. All meetings need agendas, no matter how small or how big, to keep things tight. People should be coming prepared to meetings, but because there seems to be more of a formal element and less personal talk at video meetings, what's the best way to structure them, and how long is an ideal meeting?
Excellent question. And I think you kind of teed me up to mention one feature that we've built into our smart video platform, and it's called a discussion guide. So we actually have that meeting agenda / discussion guide integrated to the platform. So whoever is running the meeting is able to track the questions, monitor the questions. We've got a transcript that's running, that's capturing all of what's being said. And we've got the video also mapping to the discussion guide. So I think that's like critically important. And that's, as I keep using the word structure, it's bringing structure to the meetings.
Yeah.
But you're totally right about video meetings. Like, they feel much more serious than the in-person meeting. But what I would say, John, is, and I've worked in the startup space here for the last 10 years, but I had 10 years working in large global CPGs for the good folks at Procter & Gamble. I worked there for a long time. And I'd have to say that, gosh, we sat in so many meeting rooms for 2, 3, 4 hour periods, and they were massively inefficient, and we were bored silly. So I think there's a terrific opportunity to reduce the number of overall meetings.
Yeah,
I don't know, pick a number, 70, 60, 70%. But then in having a smaller set of meetings, make them be more productive.
Yeah.
And actually, people are coming more prepared to video meetings. But getting to the second part of your question around the right amount of time, I think it's 45 minutes. Yeah. I really do. It's not 2 hours. Like, if people will be monkeying around doing other stuff, if it's frankly more than 1 hour. I think 30 minutes is not quite enough, but 45 minutes, I think, hits the spot in terms of laying out the agenda, what we're going to cover, and just being efficient and productive.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think you're right. I used to manage a team of about 45 people, and I would have a Monday meeting every Monday. This is when I was doing commercial real estate. Yeah. And it would start at 8, and by 8:41, everyone was like out of their skin. So I started making the meetings 40 minutes. And if I could end them early, I would. But I found that 40, by the time they hit 45 minutes, they're gone. Yeah. So I agree with you. And, it's interesting you talk about time. As a business coach, and I'm coaching people all over the country. Yeah. After we do a deep dive of really, anywhere from 1 to 10 hours, my clients are doing 15 to 30 minutes a week or every other week. And it doesn't sound like a lot of time, but you can get so much done in 15 or 30 minutes if you're effective and focused and in the zone.
I agree. Quality, but also prepared. Like, you made the point about preparing for a meeting. And I think that is so critically important. And I think the stakes are now higher, John. I think, like, us as leaders running companies or leaders within companies, we need to take the video meeting so much more seriously than what we've taken the physical meeting. And one point for me, actually, is that as leaders, we should put the same level of preparation into an internal meeting that we would have for an external meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find that in the culture of a lot of companies, that preparation, Simon, is lacking, right? So if you talk about a meeting, whether it's video or in person, to me, and one of the things I suggest to clients are send out the night before or the day before an agenda of the meeting. Yeah. What people need to do to prepare for, even if it's mentally or if it's with some questions or whatever it is. So you create within the culture of your company that every meeting does have some prep time. You come prepared, you have a meeting, you start on time, you end on time, you stay out of the weeds, and those are for follow-up meetings.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and that's like the huge potential that moving to more video brings. But it's so all of what you're saying is totally right. That structure, preparation, etc. But then there's a whole bunch of softer points that need to be wrapped around this in terms of how to engage your people, knowing, like, having expectations of what they should be working on. I think, like, we don't quite realize it just yet, but this transition to more video is impacting lots of other things in our current workforce.
Yeah, well, there's so many more distractions today with kids home from school, everybody working from home. My dogs will start barking any moment. My kids are eating lunch right now. My wife is with, it's like there's just work people, Amazon's every hour coming to my house, dropping something off. But it's it's interesting. So let's talk a little another element of video meetings.
Yeah.
How many people is too many people to have a video meeting? Because I think, there's, and then camera on or off. It's so frustrating to me when people have their camera off. I'll be doing workshops or, virtual keynotes for, it doesn't matter how many people, but a lot. And like everybody has their camera off. And so I'm talking to a blank screen, right? Except to the 4 people. And so how do companies implement, like, hey, to increase accountability, we need to turn our cameras on, because the schools, as my kids take virtual school, the schools cannot force you to turn your camera on. Yeah. And so, but can companies?
Yeah. I think they can, and I think they should. And this is such a big topic. My wife actually is an English professor at one of the local colleges here in Boston, and this is the bane of her existence right now. A lot of virtual meetings, and the college kids, almost to a person, the camera's off. And she can't force it, and she's going, like, these classes are so inefficient. They could be so much better if they could just have the camera on and engage. But anyways, that's education. We're not here to talk about education. Right. But from a business
I would like to have your wife on the show and talk about education, because I think, English and that everything about, speaking properly, following up on emails, and knowing how to actually write today is really, really important. But that's for another topic. Okay.
We'll do that another time. Yeah. But from a business perspective, I feel, it's always you're always in a little bit of dodgy ground when you say, if you were to say you must have your video on, because there could be other stuff going on. So I'm a little hesitant to go as far as you must mandate it. But I think as leaders within organizations, we need to do a much better job educating our people as to what a productive video meeting looks like, and what their roles are, and what their responsibilities are in participating in a video meeting. So I really think as we go forward, companies need to create that playbook. They need to create that framework of, here's the set of expectations if you're engaging in a video meeting. And gosh, I would even like to go as far as building it into individuals' work and development plans, because you and I are having the conversation that's saying there's going to be a ton more video meetings going forward. That's our ways of working. So let's kind of formalize the expectations. So that's how I would go after it, John.
Yeah. All right, so that's great. So let's rewind a little bit and talk about you as a CEO, right? So you're a CEO of Discuss.io, and you've been CEO for 2 years. You're moving along, and then COVID hits. How did you lead your people through the chaos, and then through where we are today?
Yeah, chaos is a good word. Actually, just for the record, I've been CEO since the beginning of 2020. I joined the firm back in February of 2019 as a chief revenue officer, but I've been running the company since early 2020. Crazy time, and obviously, as you said at the top of the call here, interesting time to be running a company that specializes in video and is a smart video platform. So in many ways, we've been very blessed, John, in terms of that, call it product market fit for us is a little bit off the charts right now. And that's like a positive thing. And I would, I'd say a couple of other points about that. And we're being really successful right now, and we've got a ton of growth. But but we're executing well. We're very focused on what we need to do. Like, we're not resting on our laurels and assuming, oh, wow, like the world's changed massively and the market share is shifting. We just need to sit back and it's going to come to us. We've actually got our organization, I feel, working better, working smarter, working better and tighter in terms of what we're truly going after. So, sorry, that's a little bit of a preamble. I know that's not your specific question, but
you bring up. I want you to get to the answer. Because it's great. I think it's great for people to know. But when you're talking about market share, I think sometimes that's something people forget, right? Really honing in and looking at your market share, determining how you can grow it, especially when things change like they did this year.
So no, exactly. So then getting more specific to your question, what I just mentioned there is one part of it in terms of leading an organization through such upheaval. It's having razor sharp organizational focus and just really clear objectives as to what this business is doing right now and how it's trying to get through this period. So that's something that we've worked really hard on, to get clear on the objectives and the metrics and bring focus to the organization. That would be one point. The other point is, well, I've got probably a number of points in my head, but the other larger point would be around communication. Lots of it, just lots of it, and honest communication, open and honest communication as leaders. I'm doing the same thing as you. I'm actually at a friend's office right now where I'm working out of, but I'm very often in the basement of our house. I've got 3 young daughters. We've got a big Bernese mountain dog. My wife is like doing classes. The kids are doing Zoom classes left, right, and center. It's messy. It's really messy.
Right.
But you just have to put your hands up and do what you said. Like, it's messy, and we're all getting through this together.
Right. Yeah.
So that's that point about open and honest and being a little bit vulnerable, actually, as a leader. I think that's really important right now. So then, like, some of the specifics that I have been trying to do is a weekly update letter to the full organization. So every Friday afternoon, I have a commitment to write a letter to everyone in the company that's saying, this is what happened in this business this week, and here's how it ties to our overall objectives and where we're going, which I think is working quite well, actually. We do a lot more one-on-ones with our leadership team, and our leadership team speaking to our people. We have like a regular virtual all hands meeting as well. And then one other thing that I've been, quite religious about is having a one-on-one with everyone in the company. And I try to do that every quarter, but it's actually probably been every 6 months. So I've had 2 already this year. And that's really important, John, because that's asking the question during this period, how are you doing? Okay, just put all this work stuff to the side, because I know you're doing an awesome job. We're crushing the numbers, but how are you doing through this period? So anyways, and that's a big part of this, is the much more communication. And then, do you want me to hit a couple of other quick points?
Well, what I just want to touch on something, because what you're talking about, and I love what you're talking about as a CEO. I am curious how many people are in the team of Discuss.io.
Yeah, we're in like about 45 folks.
Right. So you have about 45 folks, and you're talking about, as a CEO, you personally taking one-on-one time on a regular basis to connect emotionally with all of your people. And I think that is so important because, I'm a big fan of nurture, but also accountability, right? We still have businesses to run, so there needs to be accountability, but we can't forget our hearts along the way. And people it's like this messy environment. So as a CEO, I love the message that you're sending, where you're doing one-on-ones to just connect with your people, ask how they're doing, and really be on the front lines of your business. And I hope that when people listen to this now or later, and they download it later, that's a big takeaway as a leader, because many leaders that I work with will constantly say, I don't have time to do something like that. No. But to me, that's a leading activity and something you must make time for.
Yeah, and it's setting the culture that you really want the company to operate within. And I think, like, just 2 quick offshoots of that, John, is around what I would call more frequent recognition, especially during this period. Everyone's working at home. That's like unsettling, et cetera, et cetera. So it's recognizing our people much more frequently. And we actually have a great little piece of software called Bonusly that we use to have individual employees recognize other employees, and it's wonderful. It just creates a wonderful sense of team culture and morale. And then I know you're probably getting close to the end here, but the other point I really want to make is around what I would call a wellness program. And that ties to the conversation we were having around the communication and trying to get closer to people. And it's really encouraging them to take more personal time, to take the structured breaks. But one thing that we're also wanting to do, and we've just launched this recently, is what I call a wellness allowance. And we put a dollar amount in everyone's paycheck on the last pay run, and we're very clear about this. That's for you to take and do something personally, whether it be a massage, whether it be yoga, whatever you need to do to switch off from the noise, be it the kids or the work or whatever else, and focus on you for 30 or 60 minutes or whatever the case might be.
Oh, I love that.
So
it's great. That's special. Those are important things, and and not that you're not spending a lot of money, but they're not expensive things. $100. I don't know what your number was, but $100 here, $100 there. Oh, it goes a long way. It goes a long way.
It does. It does. Now, I fully recognize easier said than done when it's a smaller company. Like doing that when you're in a large global company, maybe it's a little more challenging. However, they have a lot more resources, so I actually challenge my own point. I think they should be doing it much more.
Yeah, but when you look at even you say you're talking about smaller companies, but you look at the CEO, Mark, I can never pronounce his last name, Mark Benioff of Salesforce.
Yeah.
The minute he recognized that there was not equality in the women getting paid as much as the men, he overnight made a multi-million-dollar correction. So it can happen. It takes a brave soul and a brave CEO to stand up and do what's right. Yeah,
and totally. We have to do the right thing. We have to do the right thing. And
it's great. It's great. So before we move into a quick speed round, Simon, tell everybody who your ideal clients are.
Oh, ideal clients are, so we're focused in on the enterprise level. So it's larger global customers, maybe in the consumer product goods, pharmaceutical, financial services, technology verticals. So that's what we're focused on. Those are so companies in those verticals. And then we typically speak to the person who's running the market research function or the insights function or the customer experience function. And increasingly also now the HR function as we take our platform and we expand it into other use cases. Yeah,
customer experience and HR are so critical, such critical departments. Such critical, HR is such a critical department. Customer experience is so critical as well. So I'm glad you highlighted those. All right, Simon, you ready for a quick speed round?
What happens next, John?
You'll have to wait and see. What is your favorite book and why?
Favorite book and why? Mere Christianity, C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
Just gets to the core of it and unpacks it in a really smart way.
Okay, good. Best piece of wisdom you ever received?
Oh gosh, it's something. Is this the best piece of wisdom? I'm not sure. Something I mentioned earlier from my ex-CEO Gary Moroney at Clavis Insight, where I was before. It was him that told me you need to prepare for those internal meetings more so than the external meetings.
Yeah, that's well said. That's great advice. It's true because if you look at how you prepare and set a culture of preparing, that saves thousands of hours that can be done in leading activities and get people focused on what needs to be done to grow themselves, their department and their division and do their business and the company. Yeah. That's great. One piece of advice you would give somebody graduating college today, Simon?
Oh, great question. One piece of advice, roll up your sleeves. First 5 years, roll up your sleeves, learn as much as possible, soak it all in. Working in a larger, medium-sized company, I think is a good idea for those first 5 years out of college, and learn how those bigger things work and whether or not that you find them appealing. But also don't wait for someone to tell you what to do. Make it happen.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what it is. Make it happen.
Make it happen. I love it.
Yeah.
Simon, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and any other contact information you want to share.
Yeah, no, sure, John. So my email is simon@discuss.io, and our website is www.discuss.io.
Right.
Those are the two ways.
I love it. Simon, thanks for sharing all your wisdom today, and all your thoughts about just how to lead through chaos, how you're building your company, the importance of video, different ways to, present, and different ways to just think about video and meetings today. And I love the advice, prepare more for internal meetings than you do external. And I love the advice of just make it happen for all those young adults graduating college today. Would love to chat with you again on the show. I appreciate you being on here. This was great. Thanks for all the advice and guidance. To the Think community, thanks for listening. If anybody needs Simon, reach out to him. And thanks, Simon. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, John. Really enjoyed it. Appreciate it. Have a good one.